France have been on a pretty unbelievable run over the past 28 years. But can Didier Deschamps become just the second coach in football history to win multiple World Cups? Let's dive into it. What's up, guys? International break, so the focus has got to be on the World Cup. Sadly, Ireland will not be making it. Had to watch Ireland go out on penalties last night. That was a tough one. But this isn't a time to be sad and gloomy, so let's flip the script and talk about one of the teams that will be a favourite for the World Cup and might just win their second tournament in 3 years. As always, make sure you like and subscribe. Let's get into this thing. Like I mentioned at the start, France have been on an absolutely insane run over the last 28 years. They have 2 World Cup wins, they have 1 Euros win, and they have 1 Nations League win since the 1998 World Cup. They also have 2 World Cup finals, lost both of those on penalties, so they got about as close as you can get to winning without winning. 1 Euros final, 1 semi-final. They have been on an absolutely insane tear. They are still one of the best teams in world football. The collection of talent they have in their squad is absolutely unbelievable, and it's hard to look at them and think that they won't go and win the World Cup this summer in the USA, Canada and Mexico. As you can see, they're right now the tied third favourites for the World Cup at plus 800 or 8-1 as I prefer to look at my betting odds. This is on DraftKings, so they're right there with Brazil and Argentina behind Spain, who of course did beat France in the semi-final of Euro 2024, and England, who of course is always coming home, right? They've got to be right up there. They've got to be a favourite. But this will definitely be a year where I'd be okay with England bringing it home, because I want to just shove it in everyone's faces that Southgate was really not all that. But on the France side of things, third favourite tied there with Brazil and Argentina. Argentina, the team that beat them in the 2022 World Cup final, and Brazil, the team that they faced in a friendly yesterday and looked pretty much a level above for the majority of the game, maybe up until they went down to 10 men, but they still came out with the win there. So yeah, I definitely see them as the best team out of those 3 teams that are marked there at 8-1, the tied third favourites. Argentina, I don't think are going to be at the same level as they were at the last World Cup. Messi, I don't think has the same level of magic. I think he's going to have his extra miles in the legs. So he's a couple of years older. Still be good. He'll still have an impact. I'm just not sure he can carry them to the level that he did at the 2022 World Cup. I think they've been kind of playing on borrowed time. I'm sick of people believing that Emi Martinez is the greatest goalkeeper in the world. There's just some frailties in this squad, and I think this World Cup might just bring them out. But on the France side, let's just look at the team that lost the World Cup final back in 2022. Most of this lineup is still playing with France, is still in their prime, which is a scary, scary thought. Obviously, Lloris, he's gone. Varane, he's gone. Griezmann's gone, and Giroud is gone. But you replace them with Mike Mignon, very good goalkeeper. William Saliba, very good centre half. Maybe not quite as good as Varane, but still more than adequate. And then we have Elise in for Griezmann, which I think is key, and we're going to get into that further. And then you have your option who you bring in for Giroud. Is it Bradley Barcola? Is it Desiree Doué? Is it Hugo Ekitike? Ekitike filled that spot in the game against Brazil and scored a goal, and it was very impressive. This is still a great team. That's a scary thought. They were still such a young team there. All these guys that they're still playing with the team are all still within their prime years. You think of Koundé at the back, Saliba probably not even hit his peak yet, Upamecano in his prime, Tchouaméni, Rabiot, Mbappe, Dembele, all of these guys. This is still a fantastic squad of players, and I think they're going to be in a better position. And even if you look at the team that lost the Euros final, I think this is a better France team than the one that lost that Euros final. You think of Kanté in midfield, you think no Elise. The biggest problem I think that France faced during that Euro 2024 was the loss of Antoine Griezmann. I know he was still in the squad, but he wasn't quite the same player. He wasn't starting every game. didn't have that same impact, and he was such a difference maker for France when they won the World Cup and they won the Nations League. He was that difference maker. Every time you watched France, as much as Mbappe was the star turn, Griezmann was consistently the best player on the field. He was that creative force, and he brought so much to that France team. And they didn't have an answer when he wasn't there and he wasn't at that same level. France didn't have an answer, but now they do, and let's get into that. Michael Olise has been absolutely fantastic this year. One of the best players in world football, absolutely running amok for Bayern Munich in both the Bundesliga and in the Champions League. He has 22 assists in the Bundesliga and Champions League combined. That's absolutely insane. Leads the way in terms of the top 5 leagues in assists. He's also added 16 goals on top of that. He is an elite creative force. He was not in the picture before with France at major tournaments. He is that guy to come in and replace Antoine Griezmann. I fully believe that, and that's why I have so much faith in France. The reason why I wasn't believing in France, I didn't know who was going to be that guy to come in and replace Griezmann, because as I said, I believed Griezmann was really the glue guy. He was the everything for the reason that France team were so good for basically like 2018 to like 2020. That team was just like dominated, and I think Griezmann was such a key part of that. They haven't had that replacement. I thought maybe it could be Ryan Cherki after seeing him for Lyon last year, seeing what he's done at City this year, but Olise is definitely that replacement now. He is that guy, and I think he can do fantastic things. He's going to be that creative force. Obviously set up the second goal for Ekitike yesterday. He takes over the mantra. It's not all on Mbappe's shoulders now. There's other guys that are going to deliver. And that's the scariest thing about this France team. They have so much quality in the attacking positions. Yeah, I get it. They're maybe not the greatest defensively. Maybe their midfield can get kind of overrun a little bit, can get played through a little bit. Maybe it's not as free-flowing as maybe it once was. Yeah, they don't have the all-conquering N'Golo Kanté, or they don't have the dominance of Paul Pogba in there, but they've still got quality in that midfield. And when you get it into that those attacking positions, I just feel like they're going to eventually break teams down. I just think they're going to have the answer. If you're in a tight game and you only have 2 chances, but they both fall to Kylian Mbappe, he's scoring one of them if he's not scoring both of them, because that's just the quality that he has. And Olise, he'll pull the strings, he'll create the chances, he'll get the opportunities for himself, for Mbappe, for Dembele, for Barcola, Ekitike, whoever ends up playing in that team. And they just I don't see how you stop them. How do you stop this France team? I just think they have too much quality in attack, and as long as they remain solid defensively, and I think they'll be better. You take out Konate, put in Saliba, that's a big improvement. Take out Gusto, put in Koundé. That's also a big improvement. And then the midfield, like Tchouaméni and Rabiot are a strong pairing. You can put Camavinga in there also, because he's another just engine. He's a great midfielder. Not obviously most spectacular, but he'll get around the pitch. He'll win his tackles, and he'll be a quality player. He's like Real Madrid. He's plays for Real Madrid. Him and Tchouaméni have been Real Madrid's starting midfield at times this year. So there is a understanding there. There is obviously serious quality there, so they could easily be the pairing in midfield. This is the team that I had predicted that France would potentially start at this summer's World Cup. You look at the goalkeeper, obviously Mike Maignan. As I said, at right back, I believe it'll be Koundé. He's obviously injured at the moment, so he's not with the squad. Centre backs will be Saliba, another guy who's injured at the moment. Upamecano, I know he was a bit unlucky to get sent off yesterday. I'm not going to judge him too harshly on that. And then I think Theo Hernandez, who did start yesterday, will be at left back, and who did start at the 2022 World Cup final. Then in midfield, I think it'll be Tchouaméni and Rabiot. It seems like they are the preferred choice for Deschamps, and I think that's a fine pairing. Good quality there, good balance in that midfield for sure. And then you get into that forward line, and that's where it gets interesting. For me, I thought maybe they would think about putting Dembele at the striker position as the false 9, the position where he's played and won the Ballon d'Or, playing that position. But it seems that Deschamps is happy to play Mbappe through the middle as that number 9, as we've seen him do since Giroud kind of left the international scene, as we've seen him do since his move to Real Madrid, and even in the latter stages of PSG as well. He has transitioned to more of that number 9. We've always kind of seen him as that guy who likes to kind of come in off the left, but it seems that he's happy to play through the middle now, and Deschamps is happy for that too. So it looks like it would be Mbappe as the striker, Dembele on the right, Olise as the number 10, And then obviously Ekitike started yesterday. He could still be that starting position. But Barcola is out injured at the moment, and if he's back healthy, I feel like he might have the edge there. It's going to be really interesting to see who ends up taking that final spot in those 4 attacking positions. I think Dembele, Mbappe, Olise, they are locked in. And then I think it's a battle between Desiree Doué, Bradley Barcola, and Hugo Ekitike to fill that final spot. It's going to be really interesting to see who wins that battle, and if it's like if it's a pick and stick, or does he start maybe Ekitike in the first game and then he tries out Barcola. It's going to be very interesting to see where Deschamps ultimately falls on that decision. But just look at that forward line. Mbappe has 36 goals in the league and Champions League this year. Only Harry Kane has more. I already mentioned the stats that Olise is putting out there. 22 assists in the Champions League and Bundesliga, plus another 16 goals. That's 2 of probably the 5 Ballon d'Or contenders right there. Dembele is the reigning Ballon d'Or winner, and he's had his injury struggles this year. So only managed 14 starts, but yet still has 20 goal contributions. That just shows the level of confidence and the quality that this player has. He really has kicked into a new gear, playing under Luis Enrique, and I feel like he can have even more of an impact with this France team. He'll be even at a better level than the one that we saw back in the 2022 World Cup. I think he's much more prepared to have a big impact for this France team now than he ever has been before. He's really hit his prime. I think he's 27 now, same age as Mbappe. He's really kind of hit his prime years. We know Mbappe's always been delivering from a young age, but this is like the moment for Dembele to really show his best form. And like, I know Dembele probably won't be in the conversation again now because of the injuries that he's had this year, but you have the reigning Ballon d'Or winner and 2 of the top 5, if not top 3 candidates to win the Ballon d'Or this year in your forward line. I mean, how can they lose? Like, I just don't see it. I think they just have too much. I think they're just going to be able to overpower teams. If they can deal with the heat, maybe that'll be one thing that maybe kind of hits them, having to have to deal with that heat and the substitutions that they have to make. But there's still quality. They still have depth within this squad as well. Yeah, maybe they don't really have that obvious replacement for an Mbappe if Mbappe was to go out or anything like that. But you've got your likes of your Ekitike, like I mentioned, Ekitike, Barcola, Desiree Doué, Camavinga to come in. Like, Gusto is a strong fullback if Koundé is not at full tilt or is not able to go. Konate, okay, they don't like that option at centre back, but I think they've still got the depth, and most importantly, they just have that power in their starting lineup that I think they're going to have too much for anyone. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens with France when they come up against an Argentina or an England or a Spain. Obviously, Spain got the better of them at the last major tournament, so it's going to be interesting to see how they match up this time around. My biggest thing with France is the fact that they have so many like key contributors. They have so many players that I believe can be the difference between winning and losing a game, and so many players that if they get a chance, I believe that they're going to score. And that's just the biggest thing. When you have the belief in the guys that you have multiple players you believe could easily be winning the golden boot at the World Cup, that's like a really scary thought. Don't get me wrong, Mbappe obviously is the main guy there, but like, if it was Olise, if it was Dembele, like I wouldn't be surprised. They're just that talented. They are that level above. They are in that top echelon of talent that we are going to see at this World Cup. And that would be unbelievable for Deschamps to go from a position where it kind of maybe felt like his voice was maybe waning a bit on the team. They had a few bumps, let's say. They weren't anything spectacular, but they struggled a bit at the European Championships. Ultimately lost in that semi-final, but it was a close game, and they arguably just they had created more than Spain on the day. They just couldn't find the goals. But I think this team is better now. Like I mentioned, the creative force of Olise, I think that's going to do so much for this team at this summer's World Cup. I think this will be a real breakout moment for him. Obviously, he's got it in the Champions League and in Germany. He's already broken out, but I think the World Cup could really be his stage to really let the world know that this guy is elite. This guy is a star. I know it's hard to say like a breakout for a player that's playing and starring at Bayern Munich, but like I think you guys know what I mean when I say that. So yeah, since the 2022 World Cup final, which they only lost on penalties after one of the greatest finals we've seen with Mbappe scoring a hat-trick, and I think they arguably have a better team now. Their team, I think, now is closer to the one that we saw win the World Cup in 2018 than it was in 2022. That is my opinion. I believe they've got that extra bit of quality, and like I said, I believe I'm going to keep on saying it until we get through the entire World Cup. I believe Olise is that difference maker. He is the Griezmann replacement that they needed to find. Griezmann was incredibly talented, was slowly kind of dropping off a little bit at the last World Cup. Then he was kind of dropped off even more at the Euros in 2024. And now he's obviously not in the international picture at all, on his way to Orlando this summer to kind of see out his golden years in the MLS. But Olise is going to come in and be that difference maker and be that creative force. And that's why I think France are going to win this summer's World Cup. I know I did a video earlier talking about Brazil, talking up their chances, believing that Mr. Ancelotti with his Midas touch can help them, as history is on their side, as they've never gone 6 World Cups without winning the tournament since they first won the World Cup back in 1958. But if we're talking the favourites of favourites, the team that I believe is the best going into the tournament, I think it is France. I think France are the best team. I'm interested to see what happens with them when we see them facing England, when we see them face Spain. Like, is Rodri still up to it? That's the biggest thing I think with Spain. If Rodri was still playing at the level we saw at Euro 2024 before he got injured, then I would probably still look at Spain and say maybe that they are the favourites. I know they are the betting favourites, as we saw in the odds earlier, but I don't believe, as much as Yamal is a superstar, I don't believe that they have as much talent in the attacking positions as France do. They are still great. Yamal, Williams, like there is a lot of quality still there. I wish I knew what version of Rodri we were going to get, because I honestly believe the quality that he has, he makes it so hard for a team to beat when he's at his best. We saw what he did in that League Cup final. He absolutely dominated the game. If he's still able to do that over the course of a tournament for Spain, then my opinion might just change a little bit. And then I think it could come down to a France Spain duel, and maybe it comes down to a Yamal versus Mbappe duel, something like as simple as that. I think they are the two teams that really stand out. England are still an interesting one for me. I'm interested to see what their starting lineup is. I like to think Tuchel will have it picked out before the tournament, and he'll have it locked in, different to what we saw from Gareth Southgate at the last European Championships, where he wasn't really sure and he was trying to do a few different things. I feel like Tuchel will have his team locked down. I'm just interested to see who the picks are. That's going to be very interesting. Who's going to be at right back? Who's going to be at left back? Who will be the centre back pairing? Who will be the number 10? Who will be the left wing? Like, there still feels like there's a lot of questions around England, where I think those questions are not there at all with France. And that's huge. They have that consistency. They've got their manager that's been there and done that. And that's why I'm giving the nod to France this summer. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Are France still that good? Can Deschamps go out on the highest of highs by winning another World Cup in the USA, Canada, and Mexico in 2026? And as always, make sure you like and subscribe. There's going to be a lot more World Cup content here on The Hand Gaine as we build up to this summer's tournament. Going to be a lot of fun. Make sure you stay tuned. Until next time, guys, take care.